Guys, it's me. I'm back.
What's up, party people?
We're like, Mads, come on.
All right, this show is taking a turn for the. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Monster Bass Live. I apologize for the any kind of background noise you might hear. I had my laptop on, so it was playing in the background, so you might have heard it twice. But we got a great show for you. I'm really excited about this. Depending on where you are in the world, summer is right now in full effect, and some would say it's some of the best fishing that there is. I might argue that it's just as good as it is in August or September. But nonetheless, we'll debate that a little bit later. We're going to take you through a little bit of the news that we've been talking about here in the office. And we're going to talk a little grande bass. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've been shopping for. And as always, we're glad to see you guys here. So thank you guys for taking the time to be here with us today. We are going to talk about Topwater. And when Raphie's ready, we're going to talk a little bit about grande bass because we've got some exciting news to share for you. But as always, I love to start the show by celebrating some of your catches from the previous week. And if you want to submit them, you can send them over to me at monsterbass.com/PB. Doesn't have to be your PB. It's just easy to remember, right? So just upload your pic, and if we use it, we'll send you some stuff from the garage. We are currently up to date with all of our sends. So if we've used your stuff and we promise to send you something, we're going to send you something. So let's head over to the trophy room now, Fixie. First up is Kerry Wagner. I swear to God, this guy's caught fish before. 5 pounds, 3 ounces with a stiff arm. But it says February. Yeah, see, I think we've used this picture before. I don't know. I mean, either way, he still caught 5 pounds, 3 ounces, and that's 2 ounces more than my PB. So congratulations to you. Next up is Jocelyn Ellis, 7 pounds, 2 ounces. I mean, she stiff-armed that thing. It's bigger than her from the looks of it. I mean, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, and God bless her on the Carolina rig. Next up is Pierce Bronson Gibbs, 8 pounds. No way. 8 pounds, 2 ounces. We might go back to this picture because I think Pierce is giving us his best Remington steel and making everything look easy. I don't know if this is 8 pounds, 2 ounces. I could be wrong, but he caught on a weightless fluke. Next up is Victor Ureta. My boy Victor caught this on a popper in Texas. Good on him. And then last but not least, Caleb Tarpley. 4 pounds, 9 ounces on a worm. Congratulations to you guys. And if you've caught something recently and you want to share it with us, I would love to see it because nothing makes me happier than when I see you guys sharing stuff that you're proud of. And whether it's 3 pounds or 13 pounds, I don't care. I mean, mine's only 5'1", and I run a fishing company. So I have opportunities to fish with some of the best people in the world, and I still only caught a 5-pounder. So listen, be proud of whatever you caught. I am. Travis Manson put me on it. It was a really fun day catching smallmouth, and it's a fish I won't forget. And I'm on the hunt for the next one. But all right, so for everyone that tuned in, that's tuned in this week that wasn't here last week, just to recap, we did talk about how we are going to build a bait finesse system. A bait finesse system. We're going to work with Will Smith, who designed the Lunker sticks. And if you want to learn more about it, you can watch the rewind of last week's episode. It was a great one. We talked about the rods, how we're going to design them, what goes into it, and all that fun stuff. And you can learn all about that wherever you consume your favorite podcast, Spotify, and so on. So let's not wait any longer. I'd like to bring the guys in and see what they're up to. So let's start with Raphie. And let's get a grande bass update in a minute because I think Raphie, we had a pretty good day today.
We did.
Hold on. There you go.
Wow.
You're good.
Raphie?
Yeah, we had a pretty good day.
I don't hear you, Raphie.
Go ahead.
Hey, Fix.
Yeah,
All right,
good,
here we
it's
go.
good,
Here we go.
it's
I can
good,
hear
it's
myself
good.
now.
How you doing, Raphie?
Well, I'm a little shiny, a little sweaty, but I'm doing great, Rick. How
Did
are
you have a
doing?
good phone call?
I did have a good phone call. I cannot share that phone call live.
Okay.
But I will be sharing the phone call live.
Okay.
In a month, and if all goes well, a couple times a year.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Good call, Raphie.
Thank you.
All right. Why don't you give us a little Grande Bass update?
Okay, well, for all of you who have been harassing me, which is absolutely nobody, our Facebook is finally up and running and connected to Instagram. And I'm feeling really good about that because, Rick, it's only taken me 3 months to figure that out. And by figuring it out, I think it was me doing a little bit of begging and crying and asking for your help. So thank you for figuring that out for me.
You're welcome.
We also got word, and as evidenced by a post, that the Colony Shields has product in stock, and we are actually, I can't remember if they called us the bait of the week or the bait of the day, but either way, I'm excited. And I have a request of anyone who is listening. If you are anywhere in the vicinity of the Colony Shields,
That's right.
it's in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please, please, please go there. Even if it's just one pack of Grande Bass and purchase Grande Bass. I really want to make a good impression on them. I really want to show them that the community will come out and support Grande Bass. And the more we impress them, the better the opportunity that we have to distribute across Shields nationwide. So this is a really, really big deal. It's an important one. And if anyone out there thinks that they owe me a favor, please, I'm cashing them all in by asking you to go out and buy one pack of Grande Bass baits from the Colony Shields.
I owe you a favor.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Let's do this, Raphie. How about if anyone's watching this, if you go to the Colony, or if you go to the Shields Colony, I don't know if it's Colony Shields, Shields Colony, it's just their big giant store, okay? If you go there and you buy a pack of, I don't care how many packs of bait you buy, obviously the more the better, and you can get it less expensive at Shields than you can on our own website. Send Raphie a copy of your receipt, and we'll reimburse you for a free, or what's the easiest way? Let's just send them another free pack. So if you buy a pack at Colony, we'll send you another pack as our way of saying thank you.
Of your choice, not
your
an
choice.
identical one. That's
yeah.
awesome, Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a great way to I don't know, repay the favor that I just found out that you owed me. That's awesome.
Okay.
In other Monster Bass Live news, apparently Lone Wolf got his package, and it took him, according to his message that he posted in the chat, it took him a little while to figure out that the naked ladies that we sent him from your garage were in fact golf tees. So I can't figure out, Lone Wolf, if I hope that you are or are not a golfer. Hopefully there was better stuff in there than that, but I don't know.
There was some really good stuff in there. There was some good stuff. I think that even if I had sent this care package to Chris, he would have been happy, and then he would have called and laughed about the naked lady golf tees that I just threw in by chance. And speaking of Chris, let's bring him in because we've kept him waiting for too long.
Okay, and I want Chris to hear about this new retailer though, because we opened up Jay's Outdoors in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Wow.
So big thank you to Jay Lee for carrying our brand. He so far is, I think, the only game in town. So if you're in Kentucky and you're looking to buy local, Jay's.
Get out the Jays. That's cool. No, congrats on that. You're growing this thing. I'm excited to see where this goes. The colony, go down to, how cool is that? You're offering to replace somebody's investment with more grande bass. You guys are awesome. So get out there, support them. I mean, if I could fly down there, there's a trip coming up, I go clean the shelf, just buy them all. Nice. Like, this is the greatest stuff ever. Just fill up a cart, just dumping it in there, and that would be a good impression. So it's gonna be exciting to see what happens.
I love it. Yeah. So, no Windy Wednesday.
No, Wendy, John's out there with, we had our local tournament, like our biggest turnout we've ever had on Sunday here at the lake. And the kid that won, it's like this up and coming guy. He's awesome. And he actually won the California high school fishing tournament. So he's qualified on this national tour, but he's been replacing me fishing with John. They actually took some money like 2 weeks ago. They were like in sixth place. So they're climbing up the ladder, learning. The Delta's been stingy. It's tough fishing. The lake here, we actually had some good numbers turned in and some good fish. So now all's well. Windy Wednesday's going on without me. Imagine that. But I just want to be here at the show and chat about fishing. I think it's fighting words. People are talking about Topwater already. So this is going to be fun to see where this goes.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, it's Topwater, and I sent everyone a bunch of Topwater baits, but I think it begs the question, is it overrated? Like, is it really all that it's cracked up to be? Or am I just as happy, I don't know, catching big fish on a Carolina rig?
Can we pose a question? Can we put that for the chat? Like, I want to know from the chat's perspective. You said this, and I don't know if I'm going to get it exactly right when we talked prior. Would you be okay catching your PB on a Carolina rig, or does it have to be Topwater? And that's that thing, is like, how important is Topwater to people is really what I'm getting at. Is that the only thing that matters? Because everyone's all about Topwater, and somebody said it, I think they said it started the Civil War. I have my own perspective of Topwater. You know, it's like it's Bud Light or whatever, all these arguments. I want to get to the bottom of this because I love Topwater, and I think it's tied into, I'll go into the science behind why I think it's so important with people, because we're visual creatures, but we'll get into that later. But I can tell you, I think Topwater, the discussion is a little overrated, but I want to get into that. You know, we'll talk about that. We got a while today.
Yeah. I mean, I sent everyone an entire bag full of Topwater baits for the most part. I mean, everything from up and coming brands to brands like Rebel that the Rebel jumping minnow that your grandfather probably had. I mean, it's tried and true. It's a consistent bait. But what makes Topwater so special other than the fact that you can see it?
Yeah, I think that's the key for me is visual creatures. Probably 95% of our feedback is humans. If you have vision, is vision. Those that don't have the use of their eyes, they're gonna be able to say that this guy's crazy. But because we do rely on our eyes so much, that's the fun. The Topwater, you cast out this bait and you actually get to see the take. I think that's really one of those important things. The other part is it's a fantastic fight. That fish is already at the surface. It's acrobatic. So again, the argument would be is the fish is jumping up, and a lot of times you can lose the Topwater fish easier because they are out of the water and you don't have that water resistance against the head. That really slows down the head wobble back and forth, the bait flipping around. You definitely lose more fish Topwater. So advantageous, like the advantage is on the fish's side, but it is really fun because they're already at the surface. They're going to probably jump 2 or 3 more times on their way back to the boat. So that plays into the excitement. But again, it's really down to, are you fishing for the enjoyment or are you fishing for the way you want to catch fish? And I think we've if you're not a tournament angler and it's not about catching the exact size fish or competing, I think fishing for the enjoyment is super important. The one thing with Topwater, though, you send me a whole box of Topwater baits. If my local lake, if I can't access the lake when Topwater bite is on, I think that's that other question is when is Topwater important? When is Topwater working? And I think we need to jump into some of that too, because Topwater does not always work. Fish are not always going to come up to the surface and decide to take a bait on the top of the water. In fly fishing, I go back to the world of fly fishing. I grew up. It's fish are looking down or they're looking up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing about Topwater, I think the other thing about Topwater though is like time of day, right? Like, I got a lot going on in the morning. I just do have a busy schedule. And so if I'm going to go fishing, I probably, unless it's the weekend, I can't get out early in the morning. and I certainly can't get out late at night because I have a kid. So
Topwater may not be, it's probably not going to be your friend. I mean, that's the reality. If you get some wind, if the fish feel safe, they'll feed topwater. Fish are survival specialists. And if they think a bird can take them, if there's another predator, obviously if the water's clear, coming all the way up to the surface and exposing yourself, where we got osprey, we got eagles, that's a chance a fish can get eaten. So they're like, that meal's got to be pretty enticing, be pretty big for me to go up and risk my life to eat it. And I think that's where topwater comes in play. So you're spot on. When does topwater work? Historically, first thing in the morning and in night, because the fish are feeding all night long. They're not like they don't come out and eat and then just go to bed. They're feeding the hero fish, the fisherman that finds the biggest fish. Oftentimes they find the fish at night because the fish, they feel protected. They feel safer.
Yeah, Chris, I got to change the topic just for a second. I don't understand what's going on in the chat. There's a poll up. They would more people would rather catch an average bass on topwater than catch their PB on a Carolina rig. What is wrong with you guys? I don't understand. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry. No disrespect to any of you, but like if I can catch my PB, I want to catch my PB. And if I could grab a Chaplin Caps 13 pound 6 ounce and drag it and catch it on a Carolina rig, I'm taking that all day long, because for the rest of my life or until I catch something bigger, I get to say 13.6 instead of 5.1.
Well, that's the bragging rights, but internally, and this is where I think the big swim bait crowd comes from, the people that fish certain specific, I don't even know how to categorize it, but whatever makes them feel good, makes them feel cool, or what they enjoy. I like the people that are saying that, standing up for topwater, fishing high noon, and forcing a rat bite when there's some texture on the water. You really cut down the amount of fish you're going to catch, but because you enjoy it, hey, I'm all about that. Fish,
I get it.
Fish what you like. So it is an interesting concept. Is like then you're talking about like the PBs that came up today. Great point. 5.3. That was a spotted bass. That's a huge spotted bass. In connection to that 7 pound largemouth that was after it, you could argue all day long of which one is bigger by species. If yours is a 5, what was your PB? Wasn't that a smallie that 5.1
smallmouth?
So a 5.1 smallie is so much bigger than a 5.1 largemouth in perspective of species. But again, now you're breaking down bass fishing, your PB. Now you're going into bass fishing. So do we have to start saying, oh, this is my topwater PB? People just don't normally do that. They're like, I just really like topwater. So I would love it if somebody would call in and be like, I like this over topwater, because I'm going to be I hate to put myself in that camp. I prefer catching fish topwater as well. I prefer to see the strike, to see the bite. Something fancy about laying into a fish on like maybe a jig hit, but to visually watch a fish come up, take the bait, knock it up into the air. It's incredible. And I'm in that camp. I prefer fishing topwater. So we need some people to call in and change our mind. Tell me why a Carolina rig. I mean, it's funny. A comment comes right up. Carolina rig fishing couldn't be more boring. If you're catching fish Carolina rig all day long, nonstop, big deep hook sets, what a blast. But
yeah, listen, I don't want to fish a Carolina rig, but if that's what's working, like, and I can catch a big fish, I'm throwing it all day long. But the phone lines are open, 323-210-1180. I'd love to hear, we'd both love to hear what you have to say. And while we're at it, I want to give a shout out to Ashley Schubert for not talking about forward-facing sonar in the chat. It's overplayed. And honey, you have no idea what you're talking about. I love that you tune in, but you have a center to build. Please go build it and stop watching me. You got to go make money so that daddy can go fishing. That's all I got to say. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah. So can't wait to hear what everyone has to say about that one. While we're at it, though, we do have one of my favorite baits, since we're talking topwater, honestly, is the Mad Max popper. And of course, I left it on the dining room table. But you all know what it is. You all know what it is. I didn't. The Mad Max popper. It's one of my favorite baits. It's pretty much, when I talk with the community, it's always in the top 1, 2, and there's a new one. Oh wait,
is it a popper or is it a popper? I think we should cover that first. Like,
what's the difference?
Popper, nothing. It depends on where you come from. That's how you say
Really?
the words. So,
It's like
yeah, I
Rapala
mean,
and Rapala.
so it's, yeah, well, that's a whole nother discussion. I think that we could spend two
Is
shows
it?
on, but is it
Yeah.
Rapala? Is it a popper? Is it a popar? Poppy or whoever maybe fished a popar. So I love it. Your popper is a little bit more undersized. The fish. Can we talk about the most overrated? Because I want to throw this out there. This is a bait. I'm just gonna hold it up. Like,
Okay.
if you don't know what this bait is, you've been sleeping underneath a rock for the last like 5-10 years. I don't even know, when did this come out. So we got this thing. We got the Whopper Plopper, right? And fish had never seen anything like this. This is the perfect spinning back end, plop, 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 plop. Incredible action. You literally don't have to know how to fish anything. You throw it as far as you can, and you can spaz reel it. You can slow reel it. That it can draw different strikes, but you almost can't mess it up. That to me was a bait that came out that I would go fishing in the evening or at night with friends, and I'd say, hey, just throw this thing. And audibly, you could just listen to the strikes. You hear this thing blop, 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 and then just this huge noise of fish coming and slurping it. Really big fish sometimes just kind of slurp it from behind. They just suck it in with their gill pop. But that bait, incredible. I've fished that bait some in the last 2 years, and it seems like so many people had thrown that bait that it's almost like the fish learned it. And it's just maybe in my local water, they'd seen it so many times that it stopped working. My connection to that bait is I prefer fishing a bait where I'm creating the action. Thinking of a jerk bait, I'm the one popping it. And I know you can do different reel speeds and variations of your retrieve, but a bait that I throw out and I just retrieve it back, I prefer the line twitch, the rod twitch, all these different things. And that's why I prefer a spook and your popper. It's one of those things that you can create a wake, but also create the pop and that noise, that water displacement of something really going crazy with your popper is a unique way to fish. So what do you have a top water bait you think is overrated?
I mean, the Whopper Plopper for sure. I mean, they copied obviously this one. This is the Papa Chomp from Bait Lab in a limited edition color that was in this month's box. I think they were the original, but I'm just
The OG.
saying. The OG.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Chapo, you got all the different brands that have their version of something that has this tail that oscillates and it spins and it splashes water, and it does great. It catches fish. They're awesome. And that's that one thing is like, how much does that work better than a buzzbait? I think a buzzbait is completely different. The problem I have with the Whopper Plopper is you've got this treble hook that's on the belly end hanging straight down. So if there's any debris on the water at all, if there's any grass at all, it fouls up, it fouls in the tail. So if you're fishing somewhere that's not clear water at the surface, it's not effective. It doesn't actually keep plopping. So that's one thing that is a drawback. I prefer a buzzbait. Like I'm talking about different things. Frogs, of course, are the premier. And I know you love fishing with frogs. You always talk about how much it's just your favorite thing, and nobody ever misses a fit. Nobody misses fish with frogs. And that's the irony, is that is one bait when you fish a pond or a body of water that has grass. There's no other way to fish the top surface other than some style of frog like that, because of the way that the hooks are embedded and it keeps it out of the schmuck. So I think that's a really cool thing to figure that out. But man, the top water, I don't know. It is, to me, it's like an emotional connection beyond just the catching of the fish. It is seeing that fish strike and being involved with the fish. Even the misses on a frog, really cool to see what a frog, sometimes the fish hit it specifically with their tail and they tail slap it to stun it. And all of a sudden your frog flies like 3 feet off to the side and you're like, well, there's nothing for me to do there.
Yeah.
But
I'll be honest. Frog fishing to me is probably the most frustrating technique on the planet. And I know that it has to do with two things. One, I don't get enough reps. And two, it's the patience, right? Because the moment you feel it, you yank on that thing, and then you see this frog go flying through the air like Superman. You're like, I screwed that one up. Yeah. And that's so for me, it's just frustrating.
Countdown. You got to wait. Right. You got to get the frog that comes up to grab the frog. You got to get them to close their mouth, swim underwater, because the fish, the apex predator, they know they get that frog or they don't. That's on purpose. Let it get its mouth closed, and then you set that hook. Whether you're waiting 1 second or whatever, you're counting that pause. I'll tell you, John fished with a bunch of pros when he was co-angling, and he passed on a little secret, and a lot of people know this, and I love doing it. Frog fish with someone else. and they'll fish really productive water frog fishing. And I don't care who they are. Maybe not like an Ish Monroe. He might not miss 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5, whatever. But your average pro is going to miss several frogfish. You sit behind them and wait with a wacky worm. When they miss the frog, simply throw the wacky worm exactly where the frog was. That is the key to the follow-up bait. No matter what, you will get strikes because that fish missed the frog, and then all of a sudden here comes this little wacky worm floating down. They puff their gills, suck it in, and you catch the fish that somebody missed.
Yeah, I'm sure the guy in the front of the boat wouldn't mind at all if I did that.
So the pro actually, what John was telling me, he's like, okay, listen, I'm going to be throwing these frog spots. When you see a blow up and I miss it, immediately catch that fish.
Really?
And they're working together. Oh yeah. And that was the key is you can't throw the frog back in. Once the fish has seen the frog, they're not going to go normally back and hit it. A smallmouth, sometimes they'll go back after the same bait, but largemouth frog fishing, you miss, follow it with some kind of worm right there and you'll catch it. That's your new frog fishing. You just the secondary spot waiting for somebody that misses. You know, it's a good way.
Yeah, you know, you asked before, like, what are some of the most overrated topwater baits? I can think of a few, and I'm gonna give you one that I think I'm gonna upset a few people, and I'm gonna give you a second one that I think people will be like, yeah, of course, this is garbage.
All right,
and I apologize for the use of the word garbage.
That's right.
But all right, so the Spro bronze eye frog. It is, listen, I can show you a dozen frogs that literally compress, feel exactly the same way, use the exact same hook. It's no better than another frog. Prove me wrong. Why is it better? Why is the Spro bronze eye frog better than, I'm gonna insert the name. I don't know. A frog from, I don't really care what brand. I don't. Pick it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're yeah, I mean the fat bastard, you could go, it's definitely better than some of the
listen, let's call a spade a spade. The fat bastard frog, you can't find that thing anywhere. It is it's such a collector's item that you can't find it anywhere. And if you've got it, I would list that thing on Amazon for $1,000 or on eBay for $1,000. Christmas party gone wrong, $1,000 all day long. Someone's gonna buy it. And then the worst topwater bait ever, for sure, has to be the Guggen Squad's knockoff. I don't remember what it's called. The Guggen Squad's knockoff of the Whopper Plopper might be the worst topwater bait ever. They were like, well, let's not completely knock it off. Let's cut the bait in half and put the revolver thing in.
That took a minute. That took a minute. All right. Now we're talking.
Dude, don't. I would wear a white. I would wear a white glove when you touch that thing.
Yeah, I should probably just hold it by the.
For two reasons. You're gonna go upstairs and your wife's gonna think you were at a strip club because you're covered in glitter.
I got the glitter.
And two, because that is a collector's item.
So I've got some other fun ones. Like I just went over this little collectible thing. So like
I forgot about that one.
So you got like the Ninja Turtle. Like that was kind of tough for the hookup rate. So instead on this one, they're like, forget the hookup rate. We're just going to add another hook.
Oh my God.
So we got this hook down the middle of the pants of that frog.
Oh my God.
And then you got your normal frog hooks. One that I'll tell you, like, I'm friends working with Molix. There's these frogs. So they have a super NATO frog. This isn't it, but their super NATO.
Wait, that one is,
it's, I don't know whose this one is.
I do.
This is not the Molix. Okay. So come on, tell me. You know your stuff. You put this in
That's a Blitz Buzz frog. That is Jeremy Francis's favorite frog on the planet, hands down.
I'm telling you, Whopper Plopper style. So that's the Molix Super NATO, Carl Jacobson. When you have a frog that you can throw and reel like a Whopper Plopper, and it can get through any amount of cover, that's fascinating of helping you catch fish. It's providing the action. You literally can throw it and you can reel it. It can become one of those brainless things of frog fishing. It's so hard to make sure it's working just right. Throw it, retrieve it, and you're fine. No, I have some fun ones. I mean, I think that the topic is like when you're talking about big frogs with the popper face. So I know you're in the middle. Can we talk about your frog journey? Because I think you're trying to create a frog.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying.
I can show you the designs right now.
Are you trying to create a popping frog or a walking frog? pointy nose, concave nose. What do you got?
Sadly, I'm trying to do both and hope that I get one right.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. And I think popping has its place. Walking has its place.
Sure.
And I'm a fan of both. I prefer a walking frog.
Yeah.
And I prefer a popper as a hard popper.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to pop something, that's my, for whatever it's worth, it doesn't even matter. That's this whole thing of like, it's all opinion based. And it's not even probably because I catch more fish on a walking frog. I just think the way it comes through the cover nicely when I'm using a frog and need that technique, that's the frog I go to. So,
yeah, the challenge with designing the frog is like, and I guess we don't want to get too far down the path of this, but is making sure that the angle on the belly is enough so that it walks super easy without it tipping to the side. And because you can have a flat one, but the like Z-Man, I think, does a really good job of the angles on their frog. I don't necessarily love the frog, but I think the angles are really tight. And then there's the whole thing with the tail. Like, how long do you want the tail to be? Like, I'm pretty sure I received samples, and there must have been 25 different lengths. Some like and you know, I don't know what the right answer is because half of you guys are going to cut it down and make it your own, but like that's a whole different discussion.
I would advise making them. I mean, when you turn a frog over and making them a little longer than the length of the frog just to come out of the package, you have a nice long tail, then you can trim them. Some guys trim them at an angle. Some guys make them offset to where they're not symmetrical, and that helps walk different things. Talking about the shape, I wanted to bring this up today because this is your bait. Pretty good. Yeah. So having that hydrodynamic movement on the back end that looks like that. And most people, they see baits and you're like, what's going on? And so in the mindset of having this thing walk, the frog has a lot to do. And I started to go diving deep into the frog science is how deep this sits in the water. The reason being like this versus a frog, the retrieve of this bait, if the water moves across this surface, and you can just hold your hand, if it moves over, that pushes that bait up in the air. And that's the distinct difference of this bait versus one that's crowned evenly on both sides. Mm-hmm. So this bait walks, it raises, and it splashes different. It sits different in the water, and it makes different movement coming back. And you can bounce it, you can move it, you can jerk it differently. So I think when people start looking at that and understanding baits are designed specifically to accomplish different movements, that's the key with understanding, like, what is a fish? Just because that Patriot bounces in the air, maybe if you twitch it a little softer, its movement is a little less, or it's more dynamic. So that's when you start to figure out, like, why is it working? Why is it not working some days? Do they want to see something that's smoothly moving through the water? Do they want to see something that's going up and down, splashing on top of the water? That's when you get really crazy with Topwater in your designs. But frogs, I don't know how to lead you in the right direction. I mean, it's one of these things that we talk about. Like, why is the Spro brand? I think that's the question, is why did that become cool? Somebody at some point, you probably track it back to, like, was it Tactical Bass? And did they say that bait was good? And if they caught a bunch of fish on it and they got their millions of followers, they're like, instantly it's christened as cool. And then people are going to say that's the best.
And then you got Arthur in the chat telling me that Scum Frog's the best. Arthur, then call me up and, like, let's talk about it. I want to hear why Scum Frog is best, because they also have really unique shapes. Like, I mean, they make theirs look like a camel on top. Not that it really matters because it's not like the fish can see it, but I'd love to know. Maybe you think it's the way that the frog compresses. I don't know. Do we have someone on the line right now? I feel like we do, Fix. Let's take this call. I want to see what the heck they have to say about this. Take the second one first. We got like 18 people on the line. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, caller. Surprise me.
So, overrated baits, right?
Sure.
Your basic everyday frog is not getting the motion that you want with it. The best thing I have found to do, if they're just not hitting that, is getting a package of like the 50-cent 1-inch round clear suction cups, like you put on a mirror to put like a little hook on. Clip off the tab on the back, poke it over the ring of the hook, and rock that across. It will move better, pop better, and you can still pull it over cover without it sinking under your lily pads and stuff, because it actually flexes and lifts it up. It's great. Plus, you can be able to tilt it and be able to make it skip or jump if you wanted to.
I gotta tell you, we're sitting here talking about if Topwater's overrated, and here I am, I being a visual guy, and I can't see what you're doing. I can't picture what you're saying.
So I've got the suction cup. Are you cutting? You're cutting the tab of the suction cup, and then are you putting it underneath by the frog hooks on the bottom of it? Is that what you said?
No. So the single ring where you tie on it, you clip that, and you poke a small hole just big enough to push that ring through, and then you tie onto the underside of the suction cup. That would actually be pressed up against something. You tie on there, and then you just start popping that across. Yeah.
So you're he's adding a perfect popper on the front of his frog.
Mm.
The perfect popper.
And so if you take you take the popping frog though, and you take the same thing, and instead of put it right through the center of it, you move it to the top 1/3 of it. It becomes that skipping frog, where it jumps across top of the water.
Yeah, I'm with you. Modify bait modification. I like it.
So same colors, only I'm out 50 cents instead of another $7.
Will you do me a favor? Will you take a picture of what you're talking about and send it to me?
Absolutely. I got a few of them rigged up on the boat. I'm on my way home now. So
yeah, I'd love to see it. You know how to get a hold of me?
Yeah, sure thing. I got you on email.
Amazing. Thank you.
All right. Before you go, would you rather catch a 3-pound fish Carolina rig or a 7-pound fish Carolina rig or a 3-pound topwater?
I'm going 7 pounds all day. I mean, I want 25-pound bags every time I go to a tournament. Sorry.
Yeah.
7 pound
all day.
Tournament angler. See, I'm telling you, tournament angler.
You can call back anytime.
Right. All right.
Yeah. If you had said I'd rather catch a 2-pound bass on Topwater, I would have been like, hang up on this guy. What are we talking about?
I gave him 4. I said maybe 3, maybe 4 pounds. All right. Well, I think he's got.
I want to be catching 5+ every time I pull something in the boat. Otherwise, it's like I need 20+ bags. So 7-pounder do me right, 5-pounder do me right, 2-pounder it's fun.
Yeah.
But it's getting cold. It's getting cold in 30 seconds. So
yeah, totally. I appreciate you calling in, man.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, who we got next?
Wait. Topwater is overrated to him. So I want to make sure that's fighting words for people. He was the guy that the fish size is more important because he's a tournament angler. That is the difference of the mindset is when I'm out fishing in a tournament, I don't care what we go back to that drop shot discussion. I will do anything it takes to put the right fish in the boat during. When I'm fun fishing, complete different story. I try to make fishing as hard as I can for myself. I go out with, I brought this over. I have not thrown this yet. So I have this bait. So it's a river to sea. It's a spook I have. And it's ridiculously awesome. And I want to catch a bass. 9 inches.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to catch a fish. I'm going to catch a bass on that just because that is not normal. That will not be that easy. I'm going to size up the type of bite that I'm looking for. I mean, there's nothing. I brought a few just for fun. PB Rat.
The PB Rat? Who makes that?
So the PB Rat it's PB Rat is the brand. They're a couple $100, like $250.
What? Wait a minute. Stop. That's ridiculous. $250. We could have a whole episode on that, and I would no one could convince me that $200 is worth it.
Well, the difference is the person that puts it together, the manufacturing, the pouring the resin, the building the bait. That in today's society, it's worth the dollar value. Can you buy something that works that's similar for about 40? Sure. But if you know the person, you're invested in that brand. Same thing discussion we had with UFO baits. Is there a swim bait out there worth $300, $400, $500, $600? It's worth it. You're fishing with a piece of art. But in your world, again, there's no reason you need that. It's the fun to accomplish it. That's the fun, the enjoyment, the connection.
I'd be so worried I'd have to jump in the water. I'd be like, what am I wearing today when I go fishing? Because I'm going to throw that thing. I'm either climbing a tree or I'm dumping myself into the water to get it because there's no way I'm coming home without it. So
John's baits are $50, the Donkey Slayer. I threw one in the tournament right next to a dock, perfect spot. Big fish should be there. Fish slashed out, grabbed it, turned, went under the dock, immediately broke my line right at the dock. I was so mad. And here it's like $50 for a bait that I get from my friend. And it's just like, I was just sick. I sat there for like 5 minutes in a tournament thinking, that's ridiculous. So I've never lost.
That's borderline. That's the one where you're like, I don't think I'm jumping in for $50. Like,
no, but the fish was gone, and the fish will go down and it'll shake it off. It's fine. Here's the deal: if I lose a $350 bait or $250 bait, I think I might cry. I'm just sitting out there. Like maybe if somebody's lost, I want to know: has anybody lost a bait that's over $200? Like, call in. I want to first give you a hug, but I'd like to hear the story.
I don't want to give you a hug, but I do want to take this next call. Let's see who we got. Go ahead, caller. Is Topwater overrated?
Some of it.
Especially
90% of the frogs on the market.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my boy. Let's do this. I want to hear this.
90% of the frogs out there are just a terrible design.
Terrible
design.
Except for two. One being Christmas Party Gone Wrong, which is a collector's item. You can't find it anywhere. And your favorite frog on the planet, which is and why?
So, correction to your comment. Blitz Lures does have my favorite frog. It is not the buzz frog. It is the popping frog.
Oh.
It's a popping version, which you did have in the box. But it's been like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, because I just bought some of those to put in the box, so I hope I didn't buy the wrong ones. Shoot.
Either way,
okay.
I mean, it's not that the buzz frog's bad. It just has a different place than the popping version. But I'll give you my top three. Okay. Maybe not top three. I'll give you 3 frogs to consider.
And which and one that's overrated.
And I'm pretty passionate about this. Okay, one that's overrated. Couldn't agree more with you on the Spro bronze-eye. Like, totally overrated. Like, if you have to take a frog and put it in boiling water to soften it up, just throw it away. Like, you're wasting your money.
They need to do that for you, right? I'm with you. Just boil them all before you package them. Do us a favor.
Like, if you have to boil a frog or bend the hooks or cut the tail, like, why? Like, just go buy one. You don't have to do all that crap. Like, it's like that's to me where 90% are overrated. But one thing people don't really ever talk about in the frog world is the actual body construction of the frog and all the details, and especially the keel, the bottom.
Okay.
And, there's a reason why our boats are made the way they are, or even kayaks are made with a keel, is so you can turn, right? So you can turn. However, most frogs don't have a keel under them. They're just a straight U curve. And then you wonder why you can't walk it very good, or et cetera. It's because there's no design to it, right? So if you have a frog that has a keel to it and you're wanting it to walk, it will walk like a dream if it's designed the right way. So 3 frogs to consider.
Okay.
One is, yes, the Blitzer popping frog. I make $0 if you go buy one. I don't have a link, yada, yada, yada. It's just a great frog. Like, hands down, it will improve your hookup ratio because of the way it's made, the design, the curvature on the top, the keel on the bottom. You don't need to cut bend the hooks. You don't need to cut the skirt. You don't need to boil the frog, all the other kind of garbage. You don't need to do that. Another one that's great is the Pop and Perch by Strike King. Now, I will tell you, it has better quality components than the Blitzer frog. It is also more expensive. But is also one you fish and take out of the package. The only caveat to the Strike King Pop and Perch is some of the colors are a harder material. Other colors are a softer material. So again, through trial and tribulation of purchasing and, maybe spending some money that I wasted, and others that was like, okay, this is great. You just have to kind of know which colors are softer than others. So the basic white frog, though, for the Blitzer white frog, the Pop and Perch white frog, can't go wrong. You really can't. The third one,
Jeremy, Jeremy, I don't want to stop you too much, but Pop and Perch versus a popping frog. Do you think the fish see a perch? Because I'm teasing, but I'm not. Here's the deal: is I believe in the Pop and Perch, and I believe it works great as a popping bait. I think And it was in the comments. Somebody said, so like, oh, we get stuck on this idea that frogs have to be fished in grass. Popping baits, frog baits, walking baits work everywhere. It's just that a frog can get through grass. Do you think that the perch idea has anything to do with it over a frog that you like that's a similar color? Or is it the shape of that perch? Okay, I'm with you. Keep going.
It's just something up. No, not at all. Like and that's why I use it in the frog category. But
yeah, you hit the keel, and I think that's something to when you're considering. I don't want to get scientific because it turns the whole idea like it's what are we talking about? The keel keeps things to go straight. And that's why you have a keel on a boat. It holds the trajectory. The reason you have to have a keel is when you have a rounded surface, when you pull it straight and it deflects off a water or a wake or a bump or anything, it turns one way. Now you pull it with your line and the tension pulls it back the exact opposite direction. That keel is what gets it to deflect right, left, right, left. If it's rounded, it just smoothly slides back straight. So you're dead on with the keel it's fighting the resistance of the line in opposites. So that's super important to understand.
Yeah, you'll get sharper turns.
Sharper turns. Yeah. No, and it holds a straighter line longer.
So what I like about those first two as well is like with the very slight twitches, you could almost just keep the frog in the same place. Right? So you could take a 4-inch by 4-inch box and you could work that frog almost back and forth 4 or 5 times before it exits a small little diameter. So if you're fishing around grass, or you find a hole in the grass, or you find a hole in a group of lily pads, like that's where you want a bait that is you can walk like briskly, quickly, like sharply in the same area without exiting the striking zone, if you will. So it's not that other frogs won't walk. It's just that sometimes they walk, but they're covering 3 to 4 inches in between each walk, and it makes it less effective in terms of fishing certain areas or pockets of grass, pads, etc. But whether it's a rat, a frog, a perch, I think the idea is that there's something moving up there, just like a buzzbait. There's something up there moving. They're going to go attack it because they want to explore it. They don't have hands, so they got to go explore it with their mouth.
And they might even just be, they might be mad.
Totally. Yeah. And I think most of the time bass actually think that what we call quote unquote a frog is actually a bluegill, or a shad. I think they're attacking it more for that reason, not because they're like, oh, that's a frog up there swimming around. I actually think less about the frog notion.
Frog. When you watch a frog in a pond, I was going to say, watching a frog in a pond, they just sit there. It just floats, and its legs are out to the sides, and that's the reality of what a frog does in nature. Or it swims down to the bottom, and so you might be better with a soft-bodied frog that's down on the bottom doing a Texas rig or something. But the bass doesn't care if it's a duck. They don't care if it's a muskrat. They don't care if it's actually a rabbit swimming across the water. They're going to eat whatever or go up and try to investigate with their mouth. So you're spot on.
I'll be honest.
Rick, just so you know, Jeremy, I want Jeremy to know Rick is over like a little kid in the corner while you're talking about our frogs. He's got a knife and he's butchered a frog that's coming in the box. So
I did.
Rick, tell us, because Jeremy has got another point he wants to make. But so, what did you find on were you looking for
let me
treasure?
Get to the third one.
All right, keep going, Jeremy.
Let me get to the third one. Keep in mind right now, I can't see. I'm on my phone. That's usually how I watch the show, so I can't see you guys.
That's why I want to explain it.
And when I call in, and when you call in, just so you guys know too, like now there's like opera music playing, not the show playing. So this may have already been covered, so forgive me if it has.
Well, find another service. I don't want my listeners listening to opera music. All right, sorry, Jeremy. Go ahead.
Not that it's bad. I'm just not a big fan of the opera.
No, it's bad. It's fine. Call it for what it is. I'm going to the opera next week.
All right. So this weekend I was fishing a lake, a lot of lily pads. I thought, you know what? We got this new snake frog, whatever it may be called, the Monster Bass box. No offense, Rick, but I'm usually kind of more of a critic before I am a fan of anything that's new. I want to go try it, see it, figure out if it's actually worth sharing and me telling people about or not.
That's why I like you.
I took the frog from Snakehead Custom Lures. I know they make very high quality stuff in the past, like from the Cobra to spinnerbait, things like that you put in the box. And so I thought, okay, well, they've done good stuff in the past. I'm a big critic of frogs, if you can't tell already. So let me go try this one out. Throwing it around some of the thickest of lily pads, a lot of hydraulic grass, things like that. Couple of things about this frog, just for anyone who's gonna get it and gonna use it. One is I was really intrigued by the blades on the back. They make a really cool sound coming through the water. You can actually just steady retrieve it, almost like a buzz bait, and it works extremely well. It doesn't roll, it doesn't turn over. It actually is pretty cool. So I was using it almost like a buzz bait in a place that you wouldn't be able to throw a normal buzz bait. Pretty cool. Also, if bass are keyed in on smaller, smaller bait, so this weekend bass were eating bait that was smaller than an inch. Those little willow blades on the back mimic that. So that was pretty cool. I was throwing it in some of the thickest of reeds and cattails and things like that, and it would not get hung up.
Really?
I mean, not once did I have to reposition my boat to go get it. Super soft. Love the hook design. Love the way the line tie is. There's a swivel even on front of the Kevlar line tie. There's a swivel in the back where the blades are. All the glue that's on the bottom of it. I'll just simply say that is a home run bait. I actually think they're charging too little dollars for that bait altogether. It's a better value than what I think they know, and that's a great addition to this month's box. So for what it's worth, I'll say that that one was a home run.
All right, let me ask you this, Jeremy. Let me ask you this: the line tie. I'm showing it on the screen. So, tell me what you think this adds to the bait in terms of movement or whatnot. Because I'm literally, when I tell you this, I'm working with the exact same factory as these guys, and they were kind enough to introduce me because everything about this looks to me like it's quality. Like, I love the fact that they glued the hole at the bottom so that you're not taking on water right away. It's got a blowhole in the back, so I don't know if you can see this on camera because it's, the color, but it's fine, Fixie. It's, and right down to the quality of the swivels and everything else, it looked to me like right from the get-go, great. And then I threw it in the pool and I thought, all right, this is great. But what I don't know is, like, this line. What do you think that adds to the experience? Just the swaying back and forth?
I think it gives you. I think there's two main thoughts I had. Is kind of one, what's an addition, but one, what is not a subtraction. If that makes sense.
Sure.
So I know that's a double negative, but the first one, I think what it gives you is it like when you do go to walk the bait, that little bit of line tie, it's almost like tying a loop knot in front of your walking bait. And I don't know if Chris is on his head right now, but he knows this. Like if you tie a direct line tie to your the eye of a spook, it's not, you're going to lose a little bit of the walking momentum than if you were to tie a loop knot in front of that spook, because now you've got a little bit more wiggle room for the bait to work back and forth because of just the design of the line tie. What I believe, and I don't know, I've never talked to the guys at Snakehead Custom Lures. I believe what they were trying to do is to create almost that loop knot type experience with the Kevlar line tie. That gives the bait a little bit more wiggle room to walk when you're throwing a line on braid that does not have wiggle room at all. Like that, normally braid does not, it's not meant to stretch. It's not meant to be forgiving. It's meant to drive in, big hooks, etc. Yeah. But what they did to offset, I think, the Kevlar is they added a swivel to tie onto the Kevlar, which is then attached to the lure. So then it also, if you are going to reel it straight, instead of the lure turning and spinning, or particularly turning over, especially going through pads, and I was drawing it over the thickest of pads, it will not turn or roll over because that swivel keeps your line turning instead of the lure turning. So it's actually a pretty cool design. And what you don't lose, I personally don't think you lose, because that was my concern. Am I going to lose the hookup ratio not being tied directly to it? I think being that it's Kevlar, you got two big hooks, I don't see that being an issue in terms of not being able to drive the hooks in.
Okay. All right.
So
Hey,
I'll tell you, Rick. I was going to say, can I answer the reason they have that?
wait, hold that thought before you go to that. I've got a very special guest. I'd like to introduce our CFO and the person that makes all things possible.
Yeah.
There, all right.
Yeah.
We've got Rochelle. Rochelle, how you doing?
Good.
You can move forward and talk right into the microphone. It's really easy.
Come say hi. I've talked to.
All right, so this is Rochelle. Rochelle runs finance, and quite honestly, if unless she were to duct tape me to a wheelchair and push me in the pool, that would be the only reason this company doesn't run, because she does so much for us, and I just want to say thank you on the air for everything that you do for me and for the company. We love you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Rochelle.
She's so mad at me right
Am I
now.
done
Look at her.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Rochelle.
No. Rochelle, it's just
Rochelle.
like being on the runway of New York.
Yeah, same deal.
Sounds miserable.
Well, yeah, but for a period of time, you probably liked it.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to come back on the air?
I'm done.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Rochelle.
All right, put her on one more time just so we can say bye to Rochelle. Bye, Rochelle.
Bye.
Okay. Okay, thanks for amusing me. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Now answer the question.
You're dead. No, I was going to say that is designed by a company that works specifically with snakehead baits a lot. And that Kevlar is when a snakehead bites it, they have such aggressive teeth. Instead of them cutting your braid or your line, that gives you a chance to land them. The swivel also is really important, because when you catch the snakehead, if you haven't done it, if you catch a catfish, you might be able to relate to that. They do spin when you get them on your line, and that's the way that they try to get off. Once you get them in a net, they're doing the same thing. So the swivel is kind of necessary on those. I'm with you with Fishing the Lone Star. I didn't know, is this going to slow down the retrieve twitch? Because it basically elongates the length of that frog. It'd be really cool to be able to test it with a loop right at the nose, and then also test it when you have that little piece of Kevlar rope on it. Because adding a 1/2 inch length to your frog, you're changing the length of that frog's walking. And so by having a shorter frog, it might pivot back and forth a little quicker. I don't think it's going to really matter. At certain times, it might change the bite a tiny bit.
I didn't notice a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's working, it's working.
Because you also don't have the legs on the back of a normal frog.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
think
like
it
a
almost
fish
ends up
is
being about the same length as normal.
right. You got this bait that's going to twitch. It's going to rip. It's going to bounce. You got metal things hanging off it. You got a little piece of rope in the front. People are like, oh, that's going to deter a strike. It's like a fish is swimming up, eating 2 pieces of metal that doesn't really look even like a frog at all. The fish is going to come up because it's something making a ton of noise, and probably evasive bait fish, like you're saying, they're little shad or some kind of small fish swimming along the surface. That fish has made a decision in a millisecond timing to come up. If it's super clear, they might get a chance to see it and deter. But if you're moving it, they're not getting a clean look at it because of all the water splashing around. So I think it's a cool looking frog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job
and it does make a little bit of a clanking sound too. When you're just on a straight retrieve. So, or even when you're twitching a straight retrieve, et cetera. So I actually thought it was a really unique ad. I posted about it earlier on Instagram. I've had several people reach out and ask more details about it, and kind of message me privately. So it's pretty cool. I like it. Great ad.
So what I need an answer from you let's go 5 pounds Topwater, 7 pounds Carolina. Which one are you taking?
Like in terms of line size?
No, just what do you prefer
mean?
to catch? We're talking Topwater being overrated. So would you rather catch a fish Topwater that's smaller, or would you?
Oh, I gotcha.
This is this whole thing. So I'm trying to give you a breaking point. Like, what's your breaking point? Is Topwater that much more important to you? Is how you catch a fish being on the Topwater the most important thing to you?
I mean, if we went between 5 and 7 pounds, I would take the Topwater 5-pounder over a 7-pounder Carolina rig.
Okay, so I got your breaking point. Now back it down to 4 pounds.
I think I would still take the 4-pounder Topwater.
So Topwater is not overrated.
It's just more. It's more exhilarating. Like you can interact more with the catch, But let me. Okay, all right, Chris. You asked a question. I'm going to give you an answer you didn't expect. I mean, for those guys that, like, as I made the comment, you can interact with the fish, you can see the catch, being topwater, etc. You got to keep in mind, I'm a guy that doesn't, what's the word I want to use here? I'm the guy. I'll just be very PC. I'm the guy that doesn't use forward facing sonar. So for the guy that wants to use Carolina rig or something else. No, hold on. Let me finish the sentence. Let me finish the sentence. Let me finish the sentence. You asked the question. Let me finish. If you see the bite coming and you're the guy that likes that via forward-facing sonar, then you don't have the appeal to topwater as a guy who's not using forward-facing sonar.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to get you. I appreciate that. I think I saw a post where you have live 360 now, and you're spying on fish in live time. You're getting to see where you're casting. You're getting to see the shadows. So, I mean, it's all about catching fish to me. It's like, get out there, catch fish.
That is incorrect. That's an incorrect statement. So, Chris, that's an incorrect statement. 360 is not live. It's not live at all.
It's you watch you're within a couple seconds. We could discuss that on a future show.
Well, but that's totally not even close to what forward-facing sonar is. Not even close. If it was, there wouldn't have been a need for forward-facing sonar when 360 came out. But you're right. That's a whole other show.
It's an improvement. You see where we went? I love it. So did you guys? Jeremy now has 360 on his boat, and he sees the fish all around him, but he's okay with it because it's a few seconds delay. Yeah.
Are you telling me that while I was gone and apologizing to Rochelle for putting her online, that Jeremy went and put forward-facing sonar on his boat?
No, it's not forward-facing sonar. It's 360 degrees.
So he's only partly cheating. He's not cheating all the way. He's just going to cheat some of the way. So instead of catching
it's not live. You can't see the fish eating your lure. It's not even close to forward-facing sonar. And if anyone says it is, I want to see your IQ score because I'm highly concerned about it.
I love it. See, this is where it's fun because, hey, 360 sonar. I got to learn all about sonar. This is the fun of being connected to breast cancer research and ultrasounds and really cool things. That sonar relation of 360, when they can track multiple beams of 360, they're going to be able to, it's called stitching the information together. They're going to stitch the 360 information as overlapping, and you're going to have live 360. And that's just the reality of what's coming. But I'm glad you're using that old fashioned stuff. So that keeps you true to your stance. Stick with that. I want to know later.
I mean, if you really want to know, the stance I've ever taken is just be honest with what you're using. Don't tell people that your jerkbait is the best jerkbait ever when you're using forward-facing sonar. So
I like it. Hey, we appreciate that about you. Just be honest. Is it so wrong to be honest? I like it, dude. That's why we love you.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Just be honest. Don't tell people you've got the best 2.5-inch minnow ever. When in reality, it's forward-facing sonar that helps you catch the fish, not your little 2-inch minnow. So.
All right, so just in I have to ask then. So if people say, "Hey, you have a really amazing smile," am I supposed to say thanks? I used Invisalign.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, but should I be required to do that in all transparency?
No, but also don't say that it's your toothbrush that's amazing that gave you the great smile. Like, let's just be real. Like, that's all I'm saying is just be real. Like, I'm not saying you have to disclose anything. What I'm saying is don't go tell someone it's because of something else. Something. Just like Rick, like, I've never shied away from the fact that I go fish private lakes at times.
No, you have not.
I
see it all the time.
3 days.
Yep.
I went to a public lake 2 days, went to a private lake 1 day. I caught 40 fish at a public lake, caught 10 at a private lake, okay? But I'm still going to tell you, no matter where I'm fishing, what type of lake I'm on. I'll even tell you what lake I'm on. Most people won't tell you that, right? I'll tell you. So if I'm fishing private water, I'll tell you to fish in private water because I don't want to mislead you to think that you can go catch the same fish that I just caught when I'm at a private lake that you don't have access to. I would be misleading you.
Yeah.
Right? Now, people have their own moral compasses. People can go do what they want to. I'm just simply saying, like, for me, if I'm trying to help people go fish, why would I tell you that you can go catch all these fish at a private lake when you actually can't? Like, so why would I tell you that this jerkbait's the best jerkbait ever when you actually wouldn't be catching those fish if it wasn't for forward-facing sonar? All I'm saying is just disclosure. Just disclose the truth so people know, where they can go catch fish or not. And here's the last comment I'll make on it.
Okay.
The reason why is because when I was brand new starting out fishing, right?
Yeah.
I almost quit. And the reason why is because I was so frustrated that other people were catching like all these big, amazing fish that I wasn't. And it was also because the people that were catching those fish weren't giving the whole truth as to what they were doing.
Fair enough.
And so once I knew the whole truth, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense why you're catching those fish, because you're watching them live react to your lure. It's totally different than what I'm doing. So I'm just saying, I think it matters. Everyone can use their own moral compass. At the same time, people can go fish with live shiners for all I care. Like, just don't tell people you're fishing with an artificial lure if you're doing it.
Fair enough.
That's my 2 cents. Not what you asked for though when I called in, so I apologize.
And once again, before we go, I want to say thank you again for helping us get Grande Bass into Shields. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. Hey, love seeing 2 great companies come together like that. That's awesome.
You're the best.
Love it.
Like,
Love it.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'll let you guys get back on topic because I took you way off. I'm sorry.
no, it's awesome.
Yeah.
See you, man. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Yeah, so if you're just tuning in now, we've been having discussions about Topwater and whether it's overrated or not, and I think we all agree that Topwater's overrated. Everyone in the chat agrees with me. We would much rather catch bigger fish on Carolina rigs than small little dinky rinks on Topwater. It's my show, and I'm standing by it. So do me a favor right now. Give me hit the thumbs up button, because only 14 people have, and if you disagree with what I'm saying, then call in and prove me wrong. Let's see what this next caller has to say. I doubt he's going to be able to prove me wrong. So let's give it a go. Go ahead, caller. Prove me wrong. Topwater fishing's overrated.
Oh, come on, Rick.
All right, hang up.
There's nothing better than a topwater bite. Can you hear me?
No, I can't.
Oh, well, I figured not.
We hear you just fine.
I mean, I'm sitting there going, how can you say topwater is overrated? There's nothing funner than flipping. I don't care what it is on the top. Seeing that big blow up and seeing that fish come out of the water.
Would you rather catch a double-digit fish on a Carolina rig or a 4-pound bass on Topwater? Liar.
Oh, come on.
Well, what would you rather do? Okay, fine. I'll make it easier for you. I'll make it easier for you. A 9-pound bass on a Carolina rig or a 4-pound bass on Topwater?
Get him close. You got to get him closer.
I mean, I would rather catch a 9.
Go 4 and 6, because 6, like, come on. If you're in an area where you're catching big fish, so it depends on where you're at, because 6 is huge.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm catching it, if it depends on the lake that I'm at. If the average fish is above average at 3.5, heck yeah, I'm gonna go throw a topwater and just crush them all day long.
I think here's the real question: if you're gonna catch a 4-pound bass Carolina rig, or catch a 4-pound bass, it doesn't have to be Carolina. If you're gonna catch a 4-pound bass topwater versus catching a fish under the water, 4 pounds, same fish. But any technique underwater versus any technique topwater, which do you choose?
And I'm going to go topwater all day. Yeah, nothing's better than, usually for me, it's an evening bite. And I like to take my boat out, about right now and go fish till dark and chase fish blowing up on shad. That's all I do. And nothing's better than taking, a spook or a frog, whatever. You can throw pretty much anything at that point in time. It's a light thing, and if you can get that fish in that attack mode again, where you were talking about, where he feels safe that predators can't see him, but he can still see up to the top of the water, that bite is vicious, and nothing's funner than sitting there just pooping along, and all of a sudden something blows up on your face.
Hold on. I gotta stop the show for a second. Chris is leading the witness here, and I'm not having it. A 4-pound fish on a Carolina rig versus a 4-pound fish on Topwater. It's like, it's not a real question, because that's like asking, that's like asking, would you rather hit the game-winning shot in a game that doesn't matter, or a game-winning shot in the championship game, or in front of a crowd, or not in front of a crowd?
No. Game winner. This is the perfect way. Segue. Game winner, layup, uncontested, or game winner, Michael Jordan style, somebody in your face, 3-pointer game winner. So same deal. You make the same shot, 2 points, 4 pounds. Which would you rather do, Topwater or underwater? He's going Topwater.
Yeah,
that's why.
I've been watching the chat, right? And look, I'm no one to talk, because my top Topwater bait is the Lunker Hunt hollow skitter lizard, whatever.
Oh, we're no longer doing business with Lunker Hunt. Good job.
No, I said they were my favorite.
Oh, okay.
But it's look, Topwater is a
what you're doing. It's fun.
Topwater is a commitment, right? Topwater is early morning. Topwater is late at night. Topwater is seasonal. Like the weather, the sun, everything has to be like really specific. And what I also get is that Topwater, when you don't catch anything, is a lot of time and a lot of energy wasted, right? And so to add,
Very true.
To me, I don't care what I'm doing as long as I catch fish. One of the reasons why it's taking me such a long time to fish with T-Rex and then with Jeremy Hickman, which I'm going to make a trip out there to fish with him, it's because I don't catch anything. I honestly don't care. If I put my hand out and catch a fish, I'd be so excited, right? To me, the reward is the actual fish. And so why not start me with a technique that's easy for me to learn, that I can get a feel for, and that I can catch fish all day, rather than trying to make it that much more difficult and just throwing 3-pointers or whatever it is. Like, I feel like Topwater is definitely overrated, and maybe if people like to challenge themselves, then okay, I'm gonna get a little bit of splashy at the surface, but the fish is gonna breach when you bring it into the boat or the bank anyway. Like, just flip it around a little bit.
Arthur Bland just said Topwater is like the McRib. You need to take advantage when the opportunity, when you can. It's that once in a lifetime.
That actually makes
thing.
a lot of sense.
No,
by the way,
I'm telling you, because Topwater,
that's great.
You said it perfect. You can't always catch fish Topwater. The middle of winter, when the fish are down 25 feet, calling them up to 25 feet to the surface is tough. I relate it. I don't want to get way off topic because we got a caller on, but I relate it to having the lights on or lights off in the bedroom, visually as animals, just going to throw that out there.
In the
Visually being involved in fishing is, I think, an extra reward. Yeah, we all want to catch fish, but visually seeing the fish from start to finish, I think that's why humans lean towards it.
So then
I'm not seeing
bed fishing versus Topwater. Like, you could see the fish, you just dangle a little thing in front of them and bang.
And that's why people love to see Clearwater bed fishing, to go over there to visually see them enticing the fish from start to finish. That's why people love it.
I'm going to get a McRib. Fix, you can take me off air. I'm going to grab a McRib.
You can't always get a McRib. That's the thing. Is it does.
Because you don't want a McRib.
Because they're overrated. So you have to only make them available 1 month out of the year. So you're like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
But like,
that's why if you caught Topwater, I think perfect. If you caught Topwater every day, that's the only way you can catch fish. You'd be like, man, I really wish I could catch a fish under the water. You're exactly right.
God, I wish I could just catch something on a Carolina rig.
I wish I could just catch something. End of sentence.
All right. Well, hey, that's people that catch a lot of fish.
That's kind of the deal.
Oh, we have a caller on
is when you catch. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just hanging out.
Go ahead, caller.
No, but
What's your
that's so good, Ralphie.
Did you just call him Ralphie?
He did.
Wow.
That's my
Oh, did I say Ralphie? My bad, Raphie. Sorry, got tongue tied.
Don't worry. You're flying Spirit.
Though,
You're
that's
flying
the deal.
Spirit Airlines to ICAS. So congratulations.
Spirit Airlines, sweet.
No, but that's the deal, though. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day what I'm using to catch fish. It's what's working. Now, there are funner ways to catch fish. I mean, you can go out and drag a worm all day long, you know, and sit there and make a bajillion casts and not have any reward, just like you go make a million topwater casts and not get a bite.
Wait, did you just say that
the deal is,
did you just say that a funner way to catch fish is to drag a worm all day?
I don't think so.
no, I'm saying that it's the funner way to catch fish is the way you catch fish.
Okay.
And I love that my English is spectacular. But you know what I mean? It's like, so if Topwater is not working, it's overrated to me that day. But if Topwater is on, trust me, there's nothing I would rather do than go get on a shad spawn and just watch blow-ups all day long. So I don't know. I love it. I love that he brought a good point up that, you know, we have this conversation about, you know, our favorite way to catch fish or our favorite frog or whatever. In all honesty, we're all the same way. It's whatever they're biting on is what we're using. And, you know, that's a spinnerbait in January that it doesn't matter what I'm doing. When I'm catching bass, I'm having a good time.
Okay, so let me put this whole discussion. This is the way to end the discussion with everyone.
Okay.
And some people will go with it. I love topwater. I'm going to start with that. Number 2, I like catching fish more because I use the technique that's most productive. If a person says topwater is the best, I immediately will ask them, do you always fish topwater? If they say topwater is the best, that's why I agree topwater is overrated. Yes, it's fun. It may be more fun. It's more visually rewarding, but that is not the only way that I fish. And realistically, it's about 10% of the time I'm throwing topwater. But if a person says topwater all day and they commit to that, I'm just going to say, congratulations. You may be the only person in the world that I would ever meet. So the topwater only crowd, go for it. Use topwater all day. But I don't know of an angler that is topwater all day.
I know of an angler that's drop shot all day.
Yeah, I do know that person.
I can find 100 of those guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, the angler that's drop shot all day, he's probably referencing my wife. She uses drop shot first because it's by default what finicky fish will eat. She catches a fish or two and then uses something that may be more rewarding or maybe more difficult. So Kelly will catch a fish or two drop shot and then go to a big rat and then try to have some fun in a different way. But guaranteed she's going out. First cast is going to be drop shot, something she's connected to that has confidence in. So she's kind of a different person in that world of maybe fishing the smartest thing first, which is not what most of us do.
No, it's pretty smart.
Right?
So
We always want to start with the most rewarding, right?
Yeah, no, it's like, I'm going to catch fish my way. It's like, just catch fish the way that fish like to eat. So no, it's good. Thanks for the call. I mean, it's fun. It's a good discussion. The top router overrated. People get super offended. I think it's funny. We're all really here just to catch fish, and we all fish so many different ways. Go fish. Go fish with what works.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have a good evening. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, man. We lost Rick. I'm not hearing Rick. Hey, Rick, what did you find? I don't know. Can Rick hear me? What did you find inside that frog when you cut it apart?
I'd be happy to show everybody. It was, I mean, I was curious to know like the line tie on the inside. So I'm happy to show you. So, you know, this frog and, sorry, Fix has gone to the front house to get my car. It just got dropped off. So the line tie, I wanted to see like how it was fastened on the inside. And basically it's literally just basically like a loop knot on the inside. You can't see it really well, but it's just basically a loop knot to the frog hook. And I wanted to see how it was glued, if there was glue on the inside, which there isn't. It's only on the outside. But then what's interesting, I don't know if you can see this. So there's a weight glued on the inside as well. And I wanted to see like how big the weight was, how they positioned it. And I ended up cutting open 3 of them. And and they're literally in the weight is glued almost in exactly the same place every time. So they really thought this frog through. And
Is the weight on the butt end of the frog kind of back where the bend of the hooks are?
Yeah, it's basically, so I don't know if you can see it or not, but the V, it's basically like right in the middle of the V.
Yeah. So that's a displace when you got your
Yeah.
frog and it's sitting in the water. It countersinks the butt end, so when you
Right.
go to pull it, pop it, it actually has that angle and can lift up over things in front of it. So
Yeah.
that's smart.
Yeah, and it's a Kona hook. I don't know if most people probably haven't heard of Kona hooks. Kona hooks are really really great frog hooks that are used by a lot of the frog companies. They just don't tell you. And then I ended up cutting open. I cut open an airtail stick. Since I had the knife out, I figured like let's look at the airtail a little bit more and all that fun stuff. But we won't get into that now. So
It's awesome.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if we actually settled the debate, but we did take some people's opinions, and which was kind of interesting. So there you have it.
Yeah,
You know,
I'd say I don't think it can settle. I don't think you can settle it. I think people are going to want to fish the way they want to fish, and I really think when you catch a really good fish on topwater, you're going to probably think that's the greatest way for a while. When you catch a really good fish on a swim bait, I think the one thing to consider the whole discussion is once you hook a fish, what is that fishing experience of getting it to the boat? I think about that a lot. When I use a big swim bait, you hook a fish, deep hook set, and you're reeling it in as fast as you can get it to the boat because it can turn against that big bait and your chances of having it spit the hook are high. So you basically reel it in as fast as you can. When you hook a fish on a size 1 octopus hook, drop shot or something, and that fish swims up to your boat and gets the first view of you or the net, and then it turns and runs back down, that whole dance becomes a pretty exciting thing. And that smallmouth interaction, Mike Iaconelli's a guy to watch. Like, he's pulling out his extra drag, he's dancing around doing all that extra stuff. That becomes part of fishing as well in that experience. So it's fun to really pinpoint what you enjoy. Is it the hook set? Is it the fish fight? Is it landing it? Is it looking at it? Is it telling your friends you caught that PB number? I think it's different for everyone. I think part of it is when you go home and what do you remember the most? Is it bragging to your friends that I caught a 7-pound bass, or wow, I was really connected with my experience out there, and what your memory keys into? I think that's what's more important. And that's why people, we all so different. That's the cool part about it.
Yeah. Different strokes, different folks. I get it. So
it's fun.
great show. And, before we go, I did mention that I wasn't done shopping. And so there's a lot of interesting companies out there, Chris. Like, it's so funny, like the number of people that try to get into this industry because they're so passionate about fishing and they think, well, I'm going to start a jig company. And then they get into it and they realize, oh, my God, I just gave away all my weekends forever. And when everyone else is fishing, I got to go do this because it's my side hustle. And so there is no shortage of companies that are up for sale. And, part of me thinks it might be easier to go buy a frog company as opposed to design one, because I am not good at this thing. I am not. I've worked with designers, and some of their designs are awful. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think
Do you have any insight? Do you know what you're looking for? Do you have something you can share with us? Because I always want to be in the mind of Rick. Like, give us some insight. What are you looking at?
So I'm looking at, I would love to acquire a frog company if I could find one, something proven. I mean, the key for me is I don't want to take on too much infrastructure. I want to be able to slide it into what we're currently doing. I don't want to pay a lot. So if you're sitting on X number of dollars worth of inventory, I'd love to buy your company for X number of dollars. And I want retail. If you're not in retail consumption, if you don't have retail consumption, I'm not buying the company, because it's hard enough taking a brand like Grande Bass, which is sold at over 50 locations, and then trying to get more, let alone take a brand new brand and try and stuff it down retail. That's hard. So that's what I'm looking for, and I'd love a consumable, whether it's terminal tackle, tungsten weights, soft plastics. Jigs are interesting, but I don't think the profit margins are there because, you You sell those things for like, I mean, just now they're starting to increase the prices into the 5s, and you're not going to 6s for a jig. I mean, you're just not. And so the margins aren't
like
really
hand tied jig, multiple pieces, silicone skirts, living rubber, all these different things with a jig. What a tough thing to be involved in, because that's a great bait. Works great. It takes a lot of moving pieces to make a right jig. It's weird how we've underserved that portion of the fishing community, that we put a price tag. Probably, that when Mikey Balls will say with, bigs for jigs, all these different things, big fish, that's going to bring out the bites. Price tag, probably one of the cheapest baits that you have out there.
Totally.
Kind of interesting.
Totally. Yeah, I'm hoping to, I'm evaluating a few others. I'm hoping to close on one in the next 2 weeks. Terminal like tungsten's an interesting one, because I'm passionate about tungsten, because lead is just awful, right? Yeah. Like, there's a reason why states are starting to ban it. It's probably only a matter of time before everyone does. It just sits in our lakes and pollutes it. And, it won't be long before Grande Bass has to make their product out of recycled material. And that'll be a changer as well. So who knows? But, I think there's a few things in the future that we're looking at. Is there somebody on the line? Who is it? They've never called in before? Let's just take it really quick, and then we'll call it a day. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, guys. So one thing that a lot of people don't realize with frogs, you don't have to have grass, and you have to have the right equipment. You don't go throw a jig on a fairy wand, and it's the same thing with a frog. Everybody wants to throw them on a broomstick. You need a soft tip, because otherwise you're not going to get the action you want. And then you can throw them on a lake. You can throw frogs in laydowns, on rocks, anywhere. And that's where everybody gets confused. They think you have to have pads and grass. But here's the kicker. If you flip a jig into a brush pile, that fish can wrap you up and he's gone for good. If you get him to eat that topwater, you've already won the battle, because he's already part of the way to the boat and he can't get you wrapped up.
Yep. You're not wrong.
Spot on. I like it.
And at the end of the day, think about it. On a topwater, unless they're schooling fish, you're going to get a better quality bite. Typically, a frog fish, you're going to get one that's 5+, at least down here in the south. And even up north, your better quality bites are going to be topwater bites. And the other thing that a lot of people forget about, you don't have to stop once the sun gets up. I've fished the opens, and I've fished from coast to coast, north to south, all over the U.S. I've caught 4 and 5 pounders in the middle of the day, in the middle of the summer, on topwater, because it's something nobody else is willing to do. If you're fishing near the structure and you're fishing near where the fish are, you've got a good shot. It's an easier meal, because whatever is on top, whether it's a dying bait fish, whether it's a bluegill, a shad, a frog, a baby bird, they're not seeing it, so they don't run to try to get away. Unlike if you're throwing a moving bait.
You're on, man. You're spot on. There's frog tournaments that are frog only all day long. They happen on the Delta out here. I know they do them on other lakes. Spro does that. Frogs make good sense anywhere. The beauty of a frog is it is the only bait you can really throw topwater through those pads. So you're spot. People get kind of confused with that. So no, thanks for the call. We appreciate it.
Right.
Get out there, catch some fish.
And you can catch them year round, depending on, where you're at in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, down here in Texas, in January on a frog, you're more worried about water temps than you are, the time of year. And that's where people get hung up. They look at and go, oh, well, it's December, but your water temps are still in the high 50s. They will still eat a frog.
Yeah, you go to a nuclear reactor lake where they're cooling off your nuclear reactor. It doesn't matter what time of year it is; those lakes are always going to be 80 degrees. So you're right. It's water temp, and sometimes we just kind of gloss over that. So that's the fine details. We appreciate you bringing that out, so just people don't get super confused. But so let me ask on the way out: top water only for you? Can you answer? Would you prefer top water fish over fish underwater with any other technique?
If I've got my choice, I will throw a frog or chug bug all day, every day.
Chug
Because
bug, I like it.
it's more exciting.
Yeah.
It's more exciting. You can visually see what happens versus, sometimes you're just dragging a worm and you don't even realize you have a bite until you get it almost all the way back to the boat. Because sometimes they just pick it up and run at you. And yes, you're going to lose fish on top water just like you lose fish on any other bait. But if you've got the right equipment and you understand how to break down stuff and how to set the hook properly based on the bait that you're using, you're going to have more success.
Okay. No, we appreciate it, man. You just committed. You're a lights on kind of guy. We're gonna be signing off, but no, it's visual. It's fun. It's a good time. Top water.
Yeah, I didn't catch your name. What was it?
Brandon.
Brandon.
I commented on the live several times. It's Brandon Clayton Fishing or B Clayton Fishing.
Right on.
Sweet.
Right on. Hey, I appreciate you calling in, man.
Not a problem.
All right. See you later. All right. That was a great show. We're ending right on time. It's great. What'd you think, Chris?
I think it's fun. I love to dive into people's ideas of like what's better, what's not, what's cool, what's fun. Visually speaking, I think as anglers, we go outside and the visual treat of being outside, connecting that to the fish. Like it's a beautiful sport. You got these gorgeous fish with all these different colors. You never know what's going to come out of the water. It's teasing with lights on, lights off, forward facing sonar, all the different things that we navigate through. Us being outside, creating memories. I think that's what it's really all about. Having a good time, being successful, catching a fish, whether it's your first fish. At a certain point, it doesn't matter how you caught it. You're just outside doing something you love. So super cool show. Fun to chat.
Love it.
Wow. I thought the show's over.
Wow, Fix. Wow, Fix.
Wow, overrated.
Unbelievable. I thought it was
See, you know what? Can we just pin the one that says Arthur's my guy tonight. This show is the top water of podcasts. Okay, can we let's just end with that?
That's it. All right. I can do that.
I'm out.
Done. End the show, Fix. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.